Right, hard questions abound in Telkom Kenya cell. Intrigues. And we just mentioned this has so far been passed on. 60% shares goes to UAE firm in Telkom Kenya. A deal with the company, Emirati, expected to inject capital and pay some liabilities. Will this see a resumption of Telkom from the doldrums as it is right now? For the longest time, it has been there financially. And we want to also answer questions. Before, when it went to Helios, there was a very heated debate in this country just as we were getting close to general election, and the revelations that, yes, Helios is, or the government is buying back shares from Helios. So what really informed the decision that this one should go to the Emirati firm? And were there any consultations that were done on the negotiation on behalf of the country? This is what we want to interrogate. And was there any also legislative or the parliamentary approval of this as well? Or that does not really matter? Let's just begin with you, Professor Ogola, briefly.
First of all, I have to register that I'm an expert in mergers and acquisitions, which is because M&A is how companies grow by merging and acquiring and the rest. So if you look at the deal in Telkom, which has been here with Helios and now the UAE firm, whenever you assess any merger and acquisition, you have to ask yourself, what is the idea? Means that with this merger, what do you want to achieve? For example, you can look at what has happened between NCBA that is acquiring this company called AIG. You see that one? Mm-hmm. The idea is that the AIG has got a very good underwriting history. And if you look at, for example, underwriting insurance, now if you look at the NCBA, they say they are very good in technology. So they believe that with good underwriting, with technology, you can actually be able to manage the economy, or at least beat the market. But here, if you are looking at these acquisitions, the idea, what I'm trying to say here is that there's debt, liabilities, which needs to be taken. So they're looking for someone to come and carry liabilities. The second thing I'm seeing that this company called ICA, if you make it ICA, this company, a search has been done, and they found that their website is as old as 1 month. They have no footprint of any kind. So they have no competency they are bringing to the table. Maybe the only thing they're bringing to the table is that they have a check. So my question is, do you go for money or you are going for value? And I'm sure that in KTN here, you used to run another show which is called something looks like Lion's Den. In a Lion's Den story, if you give it a scenario whereby an investor is willing to take 20% of your company's business and shares and give you, let's say, 50 billion. And then the same investor, another investor, is telling you, I want to give you 30 billion, but I want to have 50%. If you only look at money, you might pick the investor who is taking less and giving more. But if another investor is giving you more, taking more shares, giving less, but they have experience in that business, you might buy. So in this business, even before you go to look at what has happened, is ICA bringing any value to Telkom? Do they have experience of running a telco company? Can they be able to spin this thing and remove all the challenges we had there? So according to me, I would tell you without any problem that when Safaricom took over, was hived from Telkom Kenya, what was needed was leadership and governance. That's it. And what you need in this country, you need in the economy, you need in private sector, public sector, is leadership and governance. Because Michael Joseph built Safaricom from Telkom. Are we having a partner that can come and hive off this Telkom Kenya and make it become very powerful in terms of how Safaricom was made? The same people who are in Telkom who had to bribe so that you can collect a telephone line, I'm sure you guys know. Before, if you want to have a telephone line, you have to bribe someone to connect you. The same team which were there, Michael Joseph used them to build East Africa's most respected company. Is there going to be a leadership in Telkom Kenya to turn it around? So for me, those questions remain very important. And remember how important Telkom is. Even to the national security, isn't it? Even to defense. They roll out, they offer for them a lot of services. actually Telkom serves Kenya. I think it has a core market. That's why it is something that everybody always wants to acquire. But are they able to turn this big asset into an economic value so that Telkom can start paying some good money to the economy so that it can ease the economic pressure that we're having? For me, that remains the main question here.
All right. Process propriety is what we're questioning. Do you think the due diligence was done? The proper channels were actually consulted in informing and awarding this particular contract, or the shares to...
You see, you are talking about hard questions in Telkom Kenya Cell. There are no questions, leave alone hard ones. There are no questions.
There are no questions?
No questions at all. This is your country. You have chosen to be a country where people sell the country with their eyes open. They don't care about tomorrow. You get a viable parastatal whose value could, let's say, for example, be $1 million, $1 billion, and you sell it for $20,000. You have examples, Pan Paper, 900 million. Even the land alone, the property they have in Nairobi, wasn't worth that. At some point, we were talking of selling Kenya Re, and the money people were talking about was not even half of what you needed to buy anniversary towers or insurance plaza. This is your country. You've chosen it. You've chosen to be the sort of people who collude with the foreigners. You go and form some shady companies, like this one is 23 years. It was 23 days old by the time it was coming on the scene to buy this 60% share of Telkom. And you are a Kenyan, you are going to Dubai or some other place, colluding with the foreigners to come back and rape your own country. This is the country we have. Because there isn't a single parastatal debar that we have privatized. Look at the assets of Telkom. If we sell, for example, and we have experimented with Kenya Railways, the amount of money we would receive, and in fact some more engagements we have had with the Kenya Railways, even selling old wagons for scrap will yield you more money than you will ask for somebody. Look, Railways, Kenya Railways is the biggest landowner, I think, in this country. And if we sell, so the idea is there are no questions. There is only greed, raw greed, or people who have billions, they want more billions. They do not remember that some people who had billions in this country, who died barely 10 years ago, 7 years, nobody remembers them. And the guys just want to, because finally, as has come to the end of my contribution, final debate, we will continue taxing Kenyans, we will continue killing Kenyans through taxes, we will continue taxing the payslip now, moving in the excess of 50%, the payslip will get up to 70%. Finally, nobody will even want to work because you'll work and government takes everything. So what is the solution? One of the solutions to deal with taxation in this country is for government to engage into business through some of these state corporations like Telkom. So that, look at how much money Safaricom has made. That sort of money Telkom would have been making for this country. You get what I'm saying? So if you have 20 state corporations, we call them prostatos sometimes, making as much as Safaricom is making, your reliance on tax becomes less by the same amount. So this country will have to figure out creatively, how else do we get money other than invading the payslip and income of Kenyans, leaving them with no disposable income to spend, and therefore dealing a blow to the economy, because if you don't have people in the economy who are spending money, the economy can't grow.
Thank you.
So what I'm saying therefore, when you look at this Telecom, it tells you a story of greed, raw greed. It also tells you a story of people who have no vision, like Professor just says. The vision is that this country requires a budget of about 10-12 trillion to turn around this country. And you cannot get 10-12 trillion through taxation. You must figure out how. One way is through creating money and earning through
I don't know what Mheshimiwa wants to say, but there's something that Herman is doing which I don't want to agree with. This thing is not about taxation. It's not about how government does business. He starts well, but he takes us to taxation. The point is that, he started by saying there are no hard questions. If the Uhuru government sold Telkom for a song with an interest, there is nothing different in what is happening in terms of its reversal. It's the same story. It's also the same story with what was Mobitelea. Do you remember Mobitelea?
The Safaricom
case. The biggest scandal here is, what is the procurement? What is the process? How would a company formed 23 days ago have capability to even come and make a business proposition to a government that then a cabinet sits and agrees with, unless it's an insider company, unless this is a conflict of interest issue. We talk about vision. There is a vision. I don't know why you both professors, this university don't are bothering about vision. The things we see today in Telkom, there's a thinking around it. There's a vision around it. So there's nothing like there's no vision. There is a vision. There are people who want to make money, and they are making the money, and they have seen how to make it. You can't tell me that. You see, the problem is that you want to think a vision is what the books say it is. The people who are in government today have a vision. They know where they came from. They know where they want to be in 2027. They have a vision. You can't say they don't have.
All right.
So they have. So basically what we're saying is there is a consistent message, which is continuously ripping off hard and Kenyan public.
Thank you. Let's hear from Dr. Kalua. Oh, you jumped there. Yeah.
Acknowledge that Martin's being sarcastic.
So,
just acknowledge that. He's being sarcastic.
All right.
No, let me pick from where Dr. Martin Olo has left. Remember, Dibal, a few months ago, this regime wanted to bring a bill to Parliament that takes away power from Parliament in decisions to do with the privatization of institutions. And there were a number of institutions that were lined up for privatization. Therefore, they are doing it true to its own objective, that yes, Parliament should just be an idle passenger in terms of state resources, and they are taken away. Because their vision, the way Martin says, is to be richer than the Mois, the Kenyattas, all of them put together. And finally, it is important for us to know that what is happening is just a transaction. It is not anything that can be said a government is doing for the purpose of assisting Kenyans to advance. It's just a transaction, just like government to government oil or fuel, that people went and they are making money, and they have continued again for another 12 months. The same institutions will be midwifing the issues of fuel to Kenya, and it's not making fuel any cheaper. It is even more expensive than it was at the beginning. So suffice to say that.
Thank you. Right, let's hear from Dr. Kalua.
I see two issues, Debal, here. The first one is, as a country, we need to act on what we must act on matters leadership and integrity. We must eradicate corruption in this country from its root. And it is very encouraging. As you know, I am part of a Kenyan team of people who have come together to create what is called Katiba Popular Initiative Kenya. The feedback that is being received by hundreds of thousands of Kenyans since we started that process is going to inform this country in a very, very powerful way. The youth in this country are silent with something that they want considered, and it needs consideration now. The importance, and this is the second thing towards the same leadership and integrity and how we handle things, and why leaders who are involved in some of these things must be held into account without fear or favor. Up to the third generation or fifth generation, that they know that their father, their parents did something wrong to a community. The second thing is the awareness that we need to have as a country of the importance of a successful and well professionally run institution like a corporation parastatal. To our economy like Kenya, there are services that need to be rendered, and that is why that institution exists. The power of communication, telecommunication, and that space is so vast, to the point that it is only yesterday that we saw the sustainability report of Safaricom that has sustained 1.2 million Kenyans in job. This is the same way that institutions need to work and see the power of creating job opportunities, service, regulation, and why they must exist to make profit in the space that we are in. If my small business can be able to be managed in the best way possible, why not a government institution to be best managed so that it can benefit its people? And I like the direction, as I finish, that we are now going further as a nation to start imagining the millions of Kenyans who own a mobile phone, that for the first time Kenya is now making those phones here, producing them here. Why are we sending out billions and multi-billions to countries out there? We need to go in that direction.
Thank you.
There is so much that we can be able
to. All right,
to
thank you. All right, the music up. Just cue for me to just wind up. We have to wind up. No, we have to wind up. Because if I give you a chance, I have to give everyone a chance. So I think it will be fair to just wind up with Dr. Kulwa. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your insights this morning. And you've really tackled very hard questions as well, especially on this Telkom issue. I know this is a developing story. We were also to approach the president tour that begins today in Nyanza region as well. And we shall actually just pick up that next week to see what will have come out from that particular tour and the reactions as well. Plant trees. Yeah, yes. So next week you'll come with seedlings. Yes. You'll come with the seedlings, then we'll go and plant trees as well.
No, you should not be getting seedlings for free. If someone planted by, you're the one who is going to earn the fruit.
Thank you. We need to
I won't.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Right. Thank you for your valued company. You've been watching Uongozi today here on Morning Prime. News Diary is up next.